Hello, everyone, and today we are going to talk about the more Viking related things that happened today. When, of course, you have to talk about a one Kirk Cousins. Now, he didn't sign yet. He is expected to visit tomorrow and sign either late tomorrow night or early Thursday morning, and it will be a 3-year, $84 million fully guaranteed deal. Now, the fully guaranteed part is the part that's surprising to people, and it could change contracts for the foreseeable future, especially for these top quarterbacks that are getting paid. Especially since some people will argue that he's not even a top 15 quarterback, and just imagine how much those guys get paid. We are not here to discuss that. We will discuss that a different day. But the whole part of this deal just implies that Minnesota is going to go all in on the 2018 season, as this is kind of like a Super Bowl or bust kind of thing. And he may not be better than what Keenum was last year, but he is more consistent and is a better bet to do what Case Keenum did last year, as opposed to hoping Keenum wasn't a 1-year wonder. Now, I know a lot of people were attached to Keenum, and it's like, oh, but he was so magical. He did all these things. And that is true. He had a great year. But a lot of it wasn't sustainable, as he constantly threw off his back foot and just hoping Thielen and Diggs made a play. So you kind of look at that like this is a lot of luck being involved here. So, and then you look at Sam and Teddy. I'm a Teddy guy. Hurts me to see him play for the Jets. But you also can't rely on Sam Bradford or Teddy Bridgewater with their knees regarding what kind of window this is. This is a 2 or 3 year window, which is why it makes sense. This is a 3-year deal. And that's kind of what the window is. Without that, you don't really have much stability if you're going with Sam or Teddy. So this is more of they could have still liked those two guys, but this is your best bet to win a Super Bowl in this window. Otherwise, you could miss it and you don't get anything out of it. And that contract could be a problem coming up with paying some of the players. But I imagine that since it's closer to that 27, because it's 28 million a year, you might be able to keep a decent chunk of the players. Probably not all of them, but you probably could keep a decent chunk. And I would imagine Barr and Kendricks will be the first two done. But the other part of the news here is Latavius could be cut because he is scheduled to make $5.15 million in base salary, but has a $6.35 million cap hit. And the reason why he could be cut is because they're going to ask him to take a pay cut. And if he doesn't, it looks like they're going to release him. Now, I imagine if they release him, he's probably not going to want to come back. So I'm working in fives here, just to keep things simple. And my possible backs for if Latavius were to be cut, well, 5 other backs go as this. Not all of these are necessarily in order, but the first one that came to my mind was let's go after Jerick McKinnon again. I know a lot of people might think, well, that's a very similar style of back, but they like Jerick McKinnon. I don't know if McKinnon liked being in Minnesota necessarily. I think it was more of he wants to play. And I have this feeling that they kind of want to have more of a tandem with Dalvin Cook as opposed to running him into the ground, as he is coming off a torn ACL. He had the injury. So you might look at it more of, maybe we just want to ease him in. So you would need a second capable back. And Jerick McKinnon is a very capable running back. So insert him. We already know what he is. He's faster. He can get on the edge. He can catch the ball well. He might be able to line up in the slot. A good receiver. He can actually pass protect. He's a good back to have. And the number 2 guy, which some of these are fairly optimistic. This one is fairly optimistic, possibly. He is an older back, but he would replace the Thunder that we would be losing with Latavius and possibly bring in more Thunder. And that's the other Murray, DeMarco Murray. So if we can bring in DeMarco Murray and have a tandem with Dalvin Cook and just in between the tackles, red zone, that would be nice with DeMarco Murray. And it's just a matter of what his market looks like because he is an older back. So his market might not be the best of things. So he might be able to be more willing to just work in a tandem, take almost like backup type of money or fringe starter kind of money, not necessarily complete backup. But he's more of the higher echelon of these guys. As my third one, we kind of go back to the Jerick McKinnon way of looking at this. Like we already have Dalvin Cook, so why don't we just add in another more shifty guy? He can catch some passes, go that route, and that would be Shane Vereen, as he would fit the West Coast zone running scheme. So I think there is a chance that Shane Vereen could stay in New York just because of the zone running scheme and Shermer's there. But also, they would probably be looking at Jerick McKinnon since Shermer's there, which means Shane Vereen would be there for the taking. Now, I think I would definitely prefer McKinnon over Vereen here, but I don't think I would be mad about Vereen. I just think it would be more of a heavy dosage of Cook in that case. Although Vereen could be a very useful player. Number 4 on this list here is another guy that I view as kind of the thunder to the lightning of Dalvin Cook, and that is Jeremy Hill. And he kind of fell off the past 2.5 years, but his first year and a half or 2 years there, he was really good, and he just never shot his wad early, it felt. And now he's just a really good short yardage back, which, well, if you're looking to get some bulldozing guy in there, he will do the trick. He won't get you 1,000 yards. He doesn't necessarily need to, but he should complement Dalvin Cook very, very, very well. And then the 5th one, I know this one's a pipe dream, so I hope everyone doesn't kill me, but I felt I had to at least put the name in there. And that's Carlos Hyde, because Carlos Hyde he's a possible 3-down back, and if you just have the 2 in there, imagine everything you could do with the 2 back sets. Because those 2 they're just so dynamic, especially if they're on the field at the same time between Hyde and Cook. So it's a fun thought. It's a thought that I don't think will happen. And I was also trying to think of names that could potentially be put in here because we have Kirk Cousins now. And Kirk Cousins is not cheap. So I was trying to think of names. Carlos Hyde doesn't necessarily fit there. And it is what it is. And then sticking with offense, we need a guard, possibly 2, if they're looking to improve over Nick Easton. And I'm not the biggest Nick Easton guy, but I feel like Minnesota may be willing to give him another chance as that was his first year playing left guard, and he's only 25. He'll be 26 at the start of next season. So just a thing to keep in mind there. So he's still young. He can still improve. So they may not look to replace him. But the right guard, Joe Berger, is a free agent right now, and that's where we start the list. Joe Berger. Go back to Joe Berger. Now, if you get Joe Berger back, I wouldn't necessarily knock out drafting a guard in the first round, as he is 36 years old, and we don't know if Nick Easton's a long-term answer over at left guard. So, but Berger is the safer option here, as long as he doesn't want a lot of money, because once again, we have Kirk Cousins. So, and then my number 2 guy, I like Jack Mewhort quite a bit here, just because I know he's kind of been injured and battered a bit, and he's played with lingering injuries, and he hasn't been as effective as he was early on in his career. But I think you can give him a 1-year deal that's not that much in base salary, but you can kind of give him some incentives of playing time, Pro Bowl, what have you. So I feel like that could be a very low risk, high reward kind of signing, and I really like the idea of Jack Mewhort coming in. And 3, he's Jonathan Cooper, kind of a failed left guard in a way, or offensive lineman. I think he's played both left and right guard. And he's most recently played for Dallas. He started for Dallas. I don't know if that clicks in anyone's head, but he did play for Dallas, and he's kind of an average to below average kind of guard, and it wouldn't be much of an upgrade over Nick Easton if you were to play him there, but he's got talent, he has potential, and it would be more so like, is this the right fit? And maybe you can get him on the down low, and he can become either a gem or some decent depth, and behind Nick Easton or Berger, or if you re-sign him back, and then he could just become depth potentially. And then the last two are kind of, if we can finesse a guard to come in, because I feel like that is our second real need on this team. And then my other real need is 3-tech, but right now the guards are probably my first need here. So I have two guys here that I feel like if you could finesse them into saying, well, we have a window right here and we can win a Super Bowl. So maybe you can finesse one of these two. The first one is Josh Sitton, who is 31 years old, and he's still a very good player. So he might look at this like a last opportunity to get a ring. So he's in there. Justin Pugh is my other one. He's just coming off of his first rookie deal, which I know Spielman loves to do. And he's another very good left guard. So I don't know if you would want to move Nick Easton over to the right guard for this, or if he becomes depth, or he could become depth if you spend your first round pick on a guard. But I think you wouldn't want to move Sitton or Pugh. And since Easton has played all three interior spots, you might be more willing to move Easton over to right guard if you can get just Sitton or Justin Pugh to play left guard, where they have always played and they've been good at that spot. Whew. And then we go over to nickel corners. The first one is Bryce Callahan, and he was the lowest tendered as a restricted free agent by the Bears. But what that means is they can match an offer, but if they lose him, they get no compensation. And Minnesota's already shown interest in him, and he's a very solid corner, and especially as a nickel corner. TJ Carey's the same way. He's my number 2 guy, and he's from the Raiders, and he's very underrated. He's a guy that would constantly make plays in that secondary, and almost the only guy in that secondary that would make plays. Number 3 is the the ageless wonder of Terrence Newman, and that would be more of a depth guy. Have him there, make sure he's there, and it's more of the safe thing. And then, as for most of these, my last 1 or 2 here are kind of almost like my pipe dream ones, like the one I really want to see happen, but I'm not sure it can happen because of Kirk Cousins and the contract and how everything's structured and how we want to sign people moving forward. But if we were to say this is the year we're just going to go get everything, then you would probably look at some of these guys that I have in the 4 or 5 spot. That's how I structured this. And this one to me is Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, as he's played all 3 spots, left, right corner, and nickel corner. So he's very versatile with that. And if you have a game where you need to move Rhodes inside to the slot because he's following a receiver, you have a guy who can play both inside and outside. And that can be very useful. EJ Gaines is another one from the Bills who is a very good nickel corner, and he might be a little bit out of the price range because he's also young. So Nikhil Roby-Coleman would have been on this list had he not re-signed with the Rams, but he did. And we still need a 3-tech. So most of these are rotations because I didn't think we could really afford guys. So my first 3 options here are rotations. The first 2 both include bringing back Tom Johnson, the starting 3-tech from last year. My first one is bringing Benny Logan, who is almost like, he's just a run-stuffing specialist, essentially. So if used the right way, first and second down can be Logan and Linval, and you can't move them. And then you can bring in Tom Johnson on 3rd and long, because he's your pass-rushing guy. And then Beau Allen from Philly, he was in a rotation similar to that last year and was really effective. And so that's my second option. And then my third one is I would prefer to use Benny Logan. So I would like Benny Logan and potentially Dominique Easley as I know he's been hurt a lot, but he has a lot of potential, and he's always shown that. He was a former first-round pick, and he's very athletic and very twitchy on the inside and would give you a pass rush that would be really formidable with the rest of our linemen. Because if you had a package where you have him, Griffin, and Hunter on the field, there's a lot of speed there and a lot of mismatches that can be made. Especially if you want to move Barr down and blitz him, and you can do a lot of things with Dominic Easley on this line. And then, like I said before, the last two, these are very pipe dreamish because, once again, Kirk Cousins. But if they were to just say they were all in, one of these names could pop up at least on the interested kind of thing. And so Sheldon Richardson is number 4. We know what he's capable of. He made a Pro Bowl a few times, and he just kind of never. He had some problems off the field, and then he was just kind of bounced around a little bit now. And then the 5th one, Ndamukong Suh. I don't think once again, this is a name that I just couldn't leave off of the list. I don't think we're going to get him, but I couldn't leave him off the list because he's just so dominant, and having him next to Linval would be insane. And so that's what I think as of right now. I will have more videos regarding the free agency of this team, and that will come later on, and we'll probably have some more things by the end of this week. And until then, I bid you adieu.